Anxious People is a contemporary fiction novel written by Fredrik Backman. It touches on adult mental health issues while also adding a little bit of humor to a possible life or death situation. The story is about a hostage situation where a failed bank robber holds up several people hostage in an apartment viewing on the day before New Year's Eve. Along with the bank robber, we follow a few different people. As I said, there were several hostages. Within the hostages were the realtor and obviously the potential buyers. The potential buyers being Zara, a wealthy banker and a single woman, Roger and Annalena, a retired couple, Julia and Ro, a young lesbian couple and soon-to-be parents, and Estelle, an 80-year-old woman. Outside the building, we also follow two police officers, an older officer named Jim and a younger officer named Jack. If you've ever read one of Backman's books, you would know that writing real, complex, and believable characters are one of Backman's specialties. Not only are you drawn into the plot, but you're also invested in the characters' odd situations. As the story went along, I felt I had a pretty good idea of how the story would end, but my satisfaction didn't come from completing the book and reaching the end. It was from understanding the lives of every one of the characters. I can't remember the last book I read where I honestly liked every character in the story. Backman does a fantastic job introducing every character to you, so I won't go into depth of explaining each individual person in this book, but I will tell you my favorite character in the novel. Aside from possibly being the bank robber, I would have to say my favorite character is Zara, who is among one of the hostages. Zara is a wealthy banker who lives alone and does not care about the tragedy people are going through around her. If this were an older Disney children's story, Zara would definitely be the evil queen. She seems to have everything she wants, yet struggles through life. I also like the character of the bank robber. I found them to be complex and somewhat relatable. I can't relate entirely with the bank robber because I've never robbed a bank, but as Backman wrote in his book, all it took was one single really bad idea.
This story is about a lot of things, but mostly about idiots. So it needs saying from the outset that it's always very easy to declare that other people are idiots. There are simply some things that all normal people understand that you must never, under any circumstances, do. You mustn't tell lies, you mustn't steal, you mustn't kill, and you mustn't throw stones at birds. We all agree on that. If you really have to steal, how much do you have to do it in order for it to be reasonable to steal something really serious? For instance, if you feel that you really have to and that no one will get hurt, is it okay to rob a bank then? No, it probably isn't really okay, even then. You're probably right about that. Because you'd never rob a bank, so you haven't got anything in common with this bank robber. Except fear, possibly. Because maybe you've been really frightened at some time, and so was the bank robber. Perhaps you have that in common after all. You probably have someone in your life whom you'd do something stupid for. But obviously, you would still never rob a bank. Of course not.
Fredrik Backman is a fantastic writer. He does a fantastic job writing each individual character. At the beginning of the story, his writing alone ropes you in, and at first you just really want to know the plot line and the conclusion of the bank robber, but as you continue reading, you become more invested in the overall story of each individual character. I was truly fascinated by every character in this story. Anxious People would mark the third book I read by Fredrik Backman. I knew before starting this book that it would be a great read because I was so familiar with his unique writing style. Other books I read from Fredrik Backman are Beartown, A Man Named Ova, and now Anxious People. If I would rank these three books from favorite to least favorite, I would rank it Beartown being the most favorite, and Anxious People being my second favorite, and A Man Named Ova being my third favorite. And if you don't already know, Netflix has a show based off the book. It is also called Anxious People. It is in Swedish, and the show looks to have about 6 episodes. So if you've read the novel and you want just a little bit more, or you haven't read it and you'd prefer to just watch the show on Netflix, you can definitely do that. Finally, I would rate this book a 4 out of 5, possibly a 4.5 out of 5. The only reason why I'm not giving it the full 5 stars is because the ending didn't leave me as satisfied as I had hoped it would. The ending was still delightful, but I wanted a little bit more in the end because the first half of the book was so great. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you've made it to the end, please leave a comment. You can also give me a like on the video. Also, let me know what books you want me to talk about next.